Welcome to another show, everybody. Dan is at the lake. Fred's at his house. I'm at my our studio, the Humble and Fred headquarters, international headquarters. And while you were gone, I asked Dan a question. And now he's gone.
What's that?
Well, I have a story. It's a pretty gross story about something that happened to me. And I said to Dan, I didn't tell Dan the story. I said, I just said that. I said, I've got a story. It's kind of gross, but it happened. It's, one of those things from real life that happens. And I don't know, man. I've been debating this whole week whether I should tell this story. And Dan's thought was, what was your thought, Dan?
Well, if you think it's true, if you're questioning it, then it's probably, maybe you shouldn't.
Well, see, my response to that is...
See, I'm the same as you, yeah.
That makes me want to hear it.
Well, and
this ain't the CBS Evening News.
Well, and what I thought you were going to say is, the fact that I'm questioning it is the reason you should tell it. It's the reason you should lean into it. Because, we've been doing this show a long time, and we have found that sometimes when we lean into something and we think, okay, is this too far? We find out later from people that, oh, no, it was entertaining, or it happened to them, or it made them somehow, Dan, here's the thing, and I think Fred will agree. You can't do a broadcast like we have, like we do or we have, and really worry too much about, what are people going to think? Because then if you do that, you're the CHFI morning show.
Okay. Well, I think the journey to the CFNY morning show is...
No, CHFI. CHFI.
What did I say?
CFNY.
Oh, the CHF... Okay, whatever. The CHFI journey would be quite the journey for us to take.
Yeah, I know.
To get there.
I know,
so
I know.
I
know.
You have to a lot more questioning of what you're saying.
So, when did this happen?
This happened, I think, last week while we were off. One of the days, like a weekday, Wednesday, Thursday type of thing.
Where did this happen?
It happened in the shower.
Maybe we should just do a section after the show's over.
So I'm going to be asking, how did this happen?
And what actually
I'm sorry, Dan. What you want to do a section after the show's over?
Yeah, we finish the show, and then we just do that. Okay, here's the tag. And then, for those who want to stay around for something gross.
Dan, we already know nobody associated with you listens to this show. So you don't worry about your reputation. Fred, what were you going to say?
Well, I don't even know why we're having this debate. You got to tell the story now.
Well, how about this?
So you're in the shower.
Hang on.
Can we turn this into a guessing game?
No. Why don't we do this? Why don't we have Dan Duran start the show, and then I'll tell the story.
I want to guess.
This episode of Humble and Fred is being broadcast to the world from our state-of-the-art Humble and Fred studio in Toronto, from our Brampton facility with a now-open pool, and from a trailer north of Peterborough with a Danis Duranis bust. I'm Dan Duran, broadcasting live from the Ray and Nancy McLeod Elder Zoom Theater, featuring the Sean Martin's Lobby Bar, and brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, 4-on-1, Bodog, and Lender's Choice Mortgages. And now here are two men who want to start a weather commission to officially and under oath have heated national discussions about the state of the weather. You, sir, that's a lie. It's not a nice day. It's Humble and Fred.
There was a mistake yesterday that I made before I get to this story. Bill Brioux will be on the show with us today. Jay Bondage, Sherpa Jay, will be talking finances. I made a mistake yesterday. We were producing the show as we do after the program. Fred's writing some stuff. He changes the XML on our on the back end of the program, and then I do something. I bring it in as a file, et cetera, et cetera. And we don't really edit anything on the show, but we do have to do some stuff to get it to a place where you can listen to it. And while we were talking, I was taking the program that I use from one screen to the other, Dan, and something happened, and a lot of people had this happen to them, where the show just ended abruptly. And so, Fred and I continued doing what we do, and I gave Fred a number that indicates the length of the show, and we both thought it was a little bit short. But I said to Fred, remember I said, no, I've just listened to it. I put it up on Apple iTunes, and I just listened to it. I thought, well, the whole show is there. But in actual fact, it ended for a lot of people right after or in the middle of the Tony Clement segment.
What? Really?
Well, yeah, but we fixed it. Here's the thing. For some people who... If you're listening and this happened to you yesterday, Toronto Mike went in and got the entire show, which we use Facebook as a backup. And so the entire show is there. You just have to go and, because a lot of people just get it, they subscribe to it, so it just comes to their inbox or wherever to their podcast box. Anyway, so it's there now if you want to hear the whole show.
The missing show has been
There's
found.
like 30 minutes missing from that file.
Yeah, I thought when you gave me the number, it seemed especially low. But
Yeah, I know.
even for an hour 30. But, oh well. Maybe I should have questioned it. But I don't like to question you because you get all touchy. So
Don't do I? That's right. I do. I get all touchy.
at the time, I was going to say, Howard, that's got to be wrong. But then you'd get your back up. And
Yeah, I'm really. I sound like a great guy. I do. Seriously, I wish I were my friend. I get all touchy.
no, nothing could be farther from the truth, actually.
But we thought it was curious, and I said to Fred, I said, I don't know, man. I thought I went and previewed the entire show as a file somewhere else. Anyway, if you're wondering what happened, that's what happened. And if you go and refresh your feed, wherever you get your podcasts, it should be there now. All right, so this thing happened, and it happened, and I thought, I don't know if I want to talk about this on the show, but it happened. And, a lot of times those are the things that, it's just everyday life and a part of getting older. Do you want to guess, or should I just tell you?
I mean, I don't want to wreck the story, but I would imagine it's got something to do with poop.
Is it?
No, I love that. I don't want to wreck the story, but it
Got something to do with.
I don't know why that strikes me as funny. It has something to do with the poopy?
Does it?
Well, I mean, I said it was a gross story. And as Dan will attest, I sometimes when Dan's
Did it?
What?
Answer the question.
Sometime when Dan visits and I'm farting, I'll say to Dan, "Oh, Dan."
Here we go. I could have guessed it. I could have guessed it.
Sometimes I'll say to Dan, because Dan gets his face. Dan's such a proper little minister's boy. I'll fart, and then I'll say, "Dan, that's not a real fart. That's because I have a condition."
Yeah.
What do I say,
Apparently
Dan?
you do.
Dan, I say that. I always
All the
say
time. All the time. Did your condition reach the wall of the shower?
that. So I'm in the shower. I'm having a shower, and I go to fart, and that happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm telling you, I what am I, 64, soon to be 64 and a half years old. That has never happened to me. I don't know if it's ever happened to anyone else, but that's never happened to me. And I, at first, didn't realize what was going on. I thought I'm in the shower. I just make a little farty. And it came out, instead of gas, it came out as a solid. I'll just say that with...
Solid?
Like a projectile?
I'm trying to be a little delicate here. I'm saying it wasn't air. It was a nugget.
Liquid.
An actual nugget? Like, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like
No, it wasn't diarrhea. It wasn't wet. It was like a little...
What?
I don't know.
Fuck, you better see somebody.
You're shooting pellets?
Well, would it be... Would it make more... Wait a second. Would it make more sense to you if it was just like a rhea?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
Wow.
But when you're actually having stools in the shower, buddy, you got something's going on there.
It wasn't. It wasn't a complete. Go ahead.
Did you heel it down the drain?
It wasn't a complete, it wasn't like a complete. I'm trying to be delicate here because we're trying not to be too gross, but it wasn't a complete. But anyways, it was more solid than liquid. Let's just say that.
Well, how does that happen?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like this is weird.
No, I know.
I mean, seriously.
Well, I went to fart, and instead of farting, some stuff came out, and then it was just pandemonium and chaos.
I wonder if that woman you've been dating is listening to this show. Will listen to this show.
No, I don't think so. Unless, I don't think she's ever going to listen to this show.
Oh, don't kid yourself.
Well,
but anyway.
if she does, it'll only be the one time, and then
it'll be part of her research to see, exactly what she's dealing with,
what she's up against. Anyway, it was not my greatest moment, and there's more to it, but I don't want to get into that part because that part's ridiculous.
What you did with it?
Can we just leave it at this point? I did it. It happened.
So that's what you did. You sort of nudged it to the drain and then put your heel on it to get rid of it.
I didn't put my heel on it. No, I did not put my heel on it.
Well, why? You were in the shower. You could have washed it. Farting in the shower.
Go ahead.
What?
No, you go.
Farting in the shower is fun because of the sound it makes with the water. Like, I enjoy that quite often. But
it's very enjoyable.
And I could see someone being in the shower and not realizing and having, a real something loose or a diarrhea type thing. But actually, I don't know how that happens.
Well, it did. Well, it did. And that's all I have to say about that. It was quite a moment in my history. And I thought, well, there you are, Howard. Now you've done that.
Well, now you're getting all sort of secretive, and you brought it up. We got to.
Well, I think we've explored it. I think I've given the folks.
We haven't found out what you did with it.
Okay, here's what I did when it happened. Yes. So at first, I felt it. I thought, well, I'm okay.
You felt it.
I go to fart, then I'm like, wait a second, I think something just came out. I wasn't sure, so I ran out of the shower and I sat on the toilet. Because I thought maybe I didn't know at first if it all came out.
Jesus.
Then I sat on the toilet.
This imagery.
Exactly. Wet, naked. I sat on the toilet thinking, okay, maybe I've saved it from coming out of me. Like I squeezed my cheeks together. And then I sat on the toilet. But what I didn't realize, okay, you ready for it? That some of it got on my leg. There you go.
Okay.
Now we're done. You happy now? I love that your response is fucking clinically, that stands to reason. Mm-hmm. I feel you're the perfect person to have this discussion with because you're like an analyst. It's like this is like in a hockey broadcast context. I'm doing the play-by-play, and you're the poop analyst. Over to you for the color,
great.
Fred.
I'm almost 4 years older than you, and that's never happened to me. That's good. So when you're my age, what are you going to be doing in there?
But I thought I saved it. See, when I went to expel gas, I thought I saved it. I'm like, ooh, something came out, and then I run across the floor out of the shower, wet everywhere, and I didn't save it. It had actually, some of it had ejected. That's all I'm going to say.
What did you do?
Well, then I had to wipe myself. Enough. I went to the washroom and went back in the shower, wiped myself off, and now.
No, but what came out in the shower? What happened to it?
Well, I just told you. Some of it was on my leg.
Some of it was in the shower.
And some of it was in the shower, and some of it was in the.
What did you do? You pick it up with a tissue?
No, there wasn't that much. Now, I'm with Dan now. Now we need to put a button in or tie this up in a bow or whatever.
Talking about Dan just asked a question.
Dan, how dare you? Dan, how dare you?
You do have a new weapon in your arsenal. Defensive weapon, right?
You have a new weapon in your arsenal.
That's right. You have a new weapon in your arse and hole.
You can shoot pellets.
Well, there you go. I'm 64 and a half years old. This has never happened to me. Now it has. And that's how it goes, man. What's that?
You can check it off.
I can check. That was on my bucket list. If that was, Anyway, it's I've been debating all week whether I should share that with you guys, but now I have.
It is. Thanks for
here's where we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I've talked about that.
Your underwear must be quite the adventure.
No, I'm usually pretty good.
Pretty good at what?
You know, I really have gone most of my life and never had an episode. You know, I know you have. Dan claims not to, but I mean, we've all had an episode where we created that word a long time ago, sharting. No, what was the word we?
This is different.
What did we create?
Florching.
Yeah, that's right. Anyhow, yeah, that's what happened to me. 64.5 years old.
That's a great show opener, Howie. That's a great show opener. You know?
Yeah, this is why we're not doing the morning show at CHFI.
I wonder if the little general's listening. That would be, the odd time he tunes in, right? The odd time. And that would be our luck. He just tunes in. And nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Fred's talking about a boss of ours that used to... Well, he hated us, but one of the things he really hated about us is the fact that we talked about farting. Because no one ever farts.
Oh, we used to sprinkle in some shit and piss, too.
Well, now we've done it all. now we've done it all, guys. All right, we got to... Dan, here's what's happening today. Because we don't do a Thursday show, we're doing our emails on Wednesdays. Just to remind you that in a few minutes' time, we're going to let you go a little early because we've got a bunch of emails to get to.
Right. Understand. Hey, do you guys follow fashion stuff for yourself at all? Like whatever the trends are out there?
Look at us.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's wearing the same hoodie 3 days in a row, and I'm wearing a shirt that I've had on twice. So the answer would probably be no.
I saw this headline the other day, and because I really like ankle socks. Do you like ankle socks? Like the socks you put in a shoe, and it's sort of the sock kind of disappears.
Yes.
No. What Dan's talking about is different. No.
Well, they're just
Dan's talking about something different. What I wear and what you're talking about, Fred, are those short little ankle socks that you wear when you golf, and
right.
But what Dan's talking about is a thin nylon sock that people wear. You can't see it. It doesn't come up above your...
No. I'm talking about what you're talking about there.
Yeah, where you can see the top of the sock around...
Like sports socks. Right. Short sports socks. Okay.
Yeah. They're called ankle socks. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can... The ones that we're wearing, you can see. You actually can see above the...
Yeah, that's just a little bit about... Yeah.
Dan said that. You could... They almost disappear. He said you could...
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the ones... Okay.
Yeah.
What about them?
I know the ones you're talking about, Howard. They're like my grandmother used to wear.
Well, and women wear them inside of some shoes so that you can have socks on without seeing them. Dan, what about this trend?
Anyway, apparently they've been kind of trendy of late, and apparently now Gen Z has canceled them. So, like, if you're a Gen Z, or you would wear a crew sock, which would be a higher one, I guess. And then if you're a millennial or older, then you would be wearing these things. And
why has Gen Z canceled them, or is that just a phrase you're using?
That's a phrase, but that's not in style anymore.
Yeah, you see kids. I know what you're talking about because you see kids downtown. I see them wear two things: wearing higher socks, like we used to in high school. The other thing they do, and I see all the time, is they wear socks not in sandals but in sliders. Like those plastic or rubber, like the shoes I have on. Sliders, like they're not flip-flops, but they're...
The Crocs.
No, they're not Crocs, but they're somewhere between a flip-flop and a Croc. But anyways, that generation wears socks with those sandals.
No, I've noticed that too. My son, Danny, he wears crew socks. Or is that what you called them?
Yeah.
The ones that go higher.
The ones that go higher. The ones that we used to wear when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed that. And sometimes you feel like saying, why don't you wear like low socks like your dad? And there's the answer.
Yeah. but I think, I'm not sure if Danny had him on when he was here, but I've seen, Charlie's age and her boyfriend wears socks with those sliders. I've seen them, Dan. I've seen them at airports.
Sliders again? What the hell is a slider?
This is a slider.
Oh, okay.
It's like
I get it.
yeah,
a Croc without the back cut off, kind of more or less.
it's like a rubber sandal. It's like a it's like a big flip flop. But I've seen it with kids at the airport. Like that's what they'll wear, socks with those sandals as their shoes.
Yeah. I love the low cut, whatever you want to call them, ankle socks or anything.
Yeah, ankle socks.
You know, beyond even golf, like I like wearing them with running shoes if I wear running shoes. Although I have plastic shoes. You guys have seen them. I go sockless with those. Very comfortable, very airy, very nice.
Isn't that interesting, though? Yeah. Interesting. That when we were kids, you know, we all wore those, whatever, the higher socks, gym socks, that we used to call them. And it wasn't until I never worn those ankle socks until golfers started wearing them. And now it's everywhere. I mean, you don't see golfers with higher socks, except, Dan, now that you pointed it out, the younger guys. I see them with higher socks. But the socks with sandals was always kind of like a boomer joke. Like, that was like an old guy dad thing. And now all the young people are doing it.
Yeah, because I've worn my Crocs sometimes, my traditional Crocs, when I've gone out and I've had socks on. And Delise comments, do you really want to be wearing socks with those Crocs? And then I turn around and say, you know, my answer to that, I don't care. Because she's always got it in her mind, what are other people going to think? What if they see you? What if someone sees you in a Croc with socks?
Socks and Crocs.
And my reply is, I don't know them, I don't care.
Socks and Crocs. Yeah, these young people, you know, it's weird how things get distorted and how, you know, again, when we were kids, we would see somebody wearing socks with sandals and make fun of them.
And the thing is, to them, that's a better look. But to my mind, and I guess an older guy's mind, the ankle socks just look neater, and to me, it's a better look. But what do I know? And
then because I, you know, golf occasionally. You know, I get that sock tan. You know, I've got like an ankle sock tan. And what I think people were, the reason you stopped wearing gym socks, as we called them, was because the tan line was higher on your leg.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything now that I say, no matter what I comment on, it's through a prism of having shit myself in the shower. So,
yeah, that's true.
You just don't care now.
Well, now exactly. Now, what does it matter? What does anything matter at this point? You know,
I'm sitting here looking at you, wondering whether you shit yourself right now.
That's right. I could now. You know what? Everything's on the table now. I've lost all credibility.
Your next trip to Shoppers Drug Mart might be kind of interesting because you'll find yourself in the ends aisle thinking, well, maybe I should.
Well, you know what, Dan? One of the days coming, you know, in the future, one of the three of us, maybe all three of us, will be walking around with squishy underpants. It's going to happen, Dan.
Yeah.
Even one day you'll get old.
Yeah.
Here's the great thing is you'll be the last to know, but one day it'll happen. One day it'll sneak up on you.
Now you won't be as critical of Donald Trump either. Now you can sort of identify with him and understand what he's going through. Yep.
Speaking of which, that's a great segue to Hunter Biden was convicted on 3 counts of felony counts of buying. I mean, the laws in the States are so hilarious. Buying a gun, but he I guess I'm trying to understand. Like if you can't buy a gun there if you're addicted to drugs or you're on drugs. Strange, but he was convicted. Nevertheless, went to trial. But it's the fallout that I want to talk about. The fact that his father could pardon him is not going to. His mother was there. His family was there supporting him. They never whined about it. They never talked about a rigged justice system. They just went to court. He was found guilty. Even the jurors were like, hey, we didn't really want to find him guilty, but doesn't matter who you are. At the time, we believe he was on drugs while he bought the gun, which is apparently a felony. What a difference, though, right? What a difference in the reaction of a normal person versus the deranged orange beast.
It was just a whole weird dynamic because there were several Republicans that came out yesterday and questioned it, which was surprising. But they're sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, so to speak, because these are people, all the Second Amendment stuff, freedom to own a gun and everything. So here they are. They're in this position now where it's like, well, wait a minute. You know what I mean? He should be able to own a gun. Yeah, but he was on drugs. Yeah, but these are the same guys that have fought against all these restrictions. You know what I mean? So they're in this weird situation where they got to sit there and think about, okay, not that they don't do it all the time, contradict themselves, but even Matt Gaetz called it stupid because he was in that position. He's a guy, no restrictions on guns. People should be free to own guns. And now in this situation, it's like, oh, what do I say now?
Yeah,
it was really bizarre. And then the Republicans, and like on Fox News, the same people that were going, he had a gun, he was a drug freak, and he shouldn't have done it, and he's a felon now, and all this. These are the same guys that defended that little creep in Minnesota or whatever who killed the two people. The kid, with
Kyle Rittenhouse.
The Kyle Rittenhouse. The same people defending him are all over Hunter Biden, happy that he may be going to jail.
But and not to get too deep into this because we got to get to emails, but I'll just say for me what I thought when I heard it, because I had a long drive home last night and listened to I even listened to it on Fox and CNN. But I think in a weird way, I'm not sure if this struck you the same way, Dan, that in a weird way, the example they've set by accepting it, by the way they've reacted it, I think it's going to have an impact. I think that's going to have a pretty big impact, ironically, the way they're treating this. And by the way, they're going to go to appeal. It's a Second Amendment issue, just as you've described.
The only thing I will say, Howard, and I agree, the only thing I might say is they had no other route to take on the heels of all the Trump thing.
No, absolutely.
They had to defend the courts. They had to defend the process. They couldn't pardon. After all the things that Trump has done, they couldn't do anything similar.
And can you imagine, though, if Donald Trump was president, how quickly he'd pardon Don Jr., that greaseball? Dan Duran's news later. Dan, we got Bill Brioux, then the Sherpa, so, pop in at your normal time, and thank you for your patience.
Right on.
I feel like sometimes we address comments to Dan like we're in Parliament, like he's the Speaker of the House.
Yes.
All right, we'll get to your emails, but first let's get to this important information.
All right, here we go. I'm sorry, I'm just calling something up here. The Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan, Canada's #1 group benefits plan for small business. If you have a small business, go to chamberplan.ca today. Get a free quote. It's all there, ladies and gentlemen. They'll lay it right out for you, exactly what is offered, different levels, the costs involved. You'll be pleasantly surprised. This can be done for small business. I mean, it's done with that in mind. It's a non-profit, right? So they can really have a mind of premiums and being fair with those who subscribe, like HumbleandFredRadio.com Incorporated. We've been part of it for several years now. So again, go to chamberplan.ca, find out all about it. Medical, dental, some therapies, travel insurance, the teledoc system, on and on and on. They even have an HR component that you can take advantage of. They've really thought this thing out top to bottom, and again, designed for small business. Get her done! The Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan.
And I know you're going to talk some Bodog odds later, but first, let me, if we can, because I sometimes forget this, but listen to Bodog talking about their own self.
As per my last email, we are on board.
Looking for a fast break from working so hard? When you're ready to box out some time for fun, you know it's time to play. It's easy to find your next favorite game at Bodog.net. We make getting the latest basketball odds and free sports tips a slam dunk. Visit Bodog.net today. #Make a play.
Hi, guys.
All right. Normally we did this on Thursdays, but it's summertime and the two grandpas, we ain't doing Thursday shows. So let's get to our emails today. Why don't you Well, let's do it in different order. Let me start it off today, okay?
Okay, Howard.
Hi, guys.
This one is from Dave Ryan, subject line, bacon and deodorant. He says, hi, guys, and he also says, because I'm not a monster. First, I want to bestow upon you my undying adulation for your show. I look forward to it. As always, it makes me laugh and entertains me during my long, lonely drives for work along Highway 17. Now to the stuff that's important. Bacon. You were talking about the trials and tribulations of cooking bacon in a frying pan. Let me tell you, over the last few months, I've been baking my bacon in the oven, and it comes out perfectly. It takes about 20 minutes-ish, and the cleanup is great. You just let the grease solidify in the pan and scrape it off into the garbage. And my trick, says Dave, for not getting deodorant marks on your shirt, which has been a concern here on the program, is to put your shirt on and then reach up and underneath and put your deodorant on. I just want to say, Dave, I've tried that. Yeah, it works for me. He closes off by saying, loving you always, Dave Ryan, heart rate 82, BMs like I'm trying to make diamonds. I think that's very well said, Dave Ryan. Mm-hmm. Do you have any comments or anything to add? If not,
no, that's great. I know, a lot of people have, when I rag on about bacon, cooking it, not enjoying it, have recommended the oven way. Maybe I'll try that. Although, unless it's a guest, it's not in the house, actually. Bacon.
Yeah, me neither. Although, I was thinking about this. Have you ever tried cooking bacon on the barbecue? Like, take a cast iron pan and cook it outside? I'm sure you must have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, or on a griddle.
Yeah. On a griddle, yeah. Very cool. All right,
Howard, yes.
Let's move on, shall we, to our next contestant.
Hi, guys.
Subject matter here, canoe, from Paul Stockton. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but I think I might have an inkling. He says, hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Did the canoe fall out of the tree? Cheers, Paul. OG, non-Hundy P, resting heart rate 62, bowel movements irregular. Do you know what he's referring to here?
That canoe at your lake.
That's right. And when I first read this, I thought, what's he talking about? But that's right. 2 years ago now, I guess it was, a major storm came through in May, and it whipped stuff all over the place. And then when the dust had settled, so to speak, there was this canoe across the bay that was sort of hooked on a tree. It looked like it was actually leaned up against the tree, but it was sort of hooked on the tree. And then when we arrived this spring, it was gone. So to answer your question, it lasted almost 2 years, but yes, the canoe is not still on the tree.
Was it removed, or did it just fall out, or is somebody?
We don't know exactly, because you can't see it at the base of the tree. So maybe someone, actually grabbed it and took it.
It's a mystery. Thank you very much. Moving on. Subject line: Dan the Movie Man.
Hi, guys.
From our buddy in Buffalo, Mike McCoolf. He says, "Hi guys."
Hi, guys.
He says, "How do you guys keep such a successful guy with the show all these years? Dan must really like you guys." Yeah, I was watching a new series on AMC Channel Zero, and who's there in the opening scenes? Dan Duran, yet in another show. It always surprises me, he says, when I see Dan on TV, but then I'm not, because he gets around. Oh, then I'm not surprised. Thanks, Dan, for all you do to keep us entertained in movies, shows, and of course, you sticking with Humble and Fred. Buffalo Boy, Buffalo Boy Mike, resting heart rate 68, burns loose, bums loose but regular, and love you guys. Go Jays. There's lots going on there. Here's the thing. We're very lucky to have Dan. He has been in a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies. And that's great. I mean, it's not like he how do I explain it? He gets like a day or two on a lot of different things. So in between his many movie roles, we're a good place for Dan to hang out every day.
Yes.
It keeps Dan in the public eye, where otherwise he would be, he would be only seen once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Or hanging out in Hollywood taking crack and stuff.
That's right. Hanging out in Hollywood taking crack.
Yes, doing crack, whatever the term is.
But again, everybody's lucky. Thanks again, Mike. Always a pleasure.
Guys.
Next up.
Hi, guys.
Subject matter, Elvis. This is from Richard Bullis, a frequent contributor. He says, hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
He says, whether we like or dislike Elvis, it's still amazing that he had the impact on the world without ever touring outside of the USA, except for Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver. Passports not needed back then at the Canadian-USA border, so Colonel Tom was safe. I guess those Elvis movies must have helped prop up his international record sales. It's too bad Elvis ended up with the Colonel Tom and not a more caring manager. Yes, I've thought that many times. Bowel movements, dropping the kids off at the pool always goes well. Blood pressure 118/79, good shape. Cheers, guys. Love, Rich.
Yeah. I read that and I thought, we're not Elvis fans, but there's there's no denying that there's, along with the Beatles, there's very few people that have had more of an influence on popular music, because Elvis inspired so many artists that came after him, including the Beatles.
Oh, yeah, like you can have, you can not care for the product, but respect its production, so to speak.
Yeah, and you and I, being the age we are, so in the 60s, Elvis, by the time we were of an age to understand what was going on in music and popular culture, Elvis was kind of a bit of a joke. Like, those movies were sort of hokey, and guys like you and I, we would have been like, oh yeah, Elvis. But I can certainly see why people a little bit older than us were blown away by Elvis, because he was such a huge disruptor to the kind of world of the 1950s and 60s, and going on TV and then not being able to show him moving his hips.
Yeah. I mean, he was revolutionary, and he, and the Beatles, we love the Beatles. They, to a man, said they were influenced by Elvis.
Yeah.
A lot of people were. So you can't take that away. It's just, the basic product I didn't really care for. But, same with Led Zeppelin or ABBA. I don't care for them, but you certainly got to admire their success.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when we, go off on those artists that are not our favorites, people don't think we respect them. I mean, we're not idiots. Well, we are idiots, but we're not idiots about that. Here we go from another old friend of the program.
Hi, guys.
And Mike Hannafin is his name. Gets regularly mentioned on this program. His subject line, old and cold. And he writes in brackets, assumed sound effects because I'm not a monster. I love that.
Hi, guys.
Heard you mention the 1971 to 1918 time span thing. And I mentioned that on Monday, that from 1971 to now is the same time span as 1971 to 1918. I'm talking about history and such. Thanks for reminding a person, says Mike, who had a birthday June 5th, how freaking old I am. And he says, doesn't say the age, born significantly before 1971. Also heard you discuss the crappy weekend weather. In Vancouver, we call unusually cold early June days January. Glad to have you back. Is he closer to your age or my age?
Oh, your age. Definitely. In fact, he's younger than you, I would imagine.
Who isn't younger than me?
There was about an hour last night from like 7 to 8 where I sat out back in the sunshine. It was actually nice.
Yeah, it warmed up in the afternoon.
I had a Miller Lite tall boy just sitting there looking out over the yard. It was nice.
I went to Fort Erie yesterday for a golf tournament, and another gray, steely, disgusting sky of 15 degrees, a little bit of wind. But by the end of the day, it started warming up there. But when I got back to the city, it was appreciably warmer. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's going to get more summer-like this week. All right, Mike Hannafin, thanks very much. Moving on.
Hi, guys.
Subject matter, non-alcoholic whiskey. This is from Bob Mueller.
email.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
I enjoyed your conversation last week regarding non-alcoholic drinks, especially when Howard spoke about picking up a can of non-alcoholic whiskey at Brioux. I have been curious about this for a while and have heard good things lately. I purchased a 4-pack, $10 of mixed Coke and whiskey. It blew me away. How good it was. The first he said, here's what he's saying. The first second, the smell and taste came together. I got flashbacks from 20 years ago when I quit. To be honest, most of those moments were not good. Gonna have to pass on buying it again. Enjoying a sober carpenter at the moment. I don't have to worry about that triggering me. Love listening to you guys. Bob.
Yeah, I tell you, I should before I come to the trailer, which I'm going to do in the next month. I'll swing by and pick up a few cans of this stuff for you guys to try, because it's the closest thing I've ever drank that tastes like you're drinking alcohol.
See, you don't have to do that for me, because I'm not a mixed drinker anyway. You know what I mean?
No,
so
but just I think you'd be curious, just for you to taste it and to go, wow, because. That's what I felt when I drank it. I was like, this is too close for me. Like, I don't really need... I mean, I like the odd fake beer. It's fun.
Right.
But I don't need to have fake... I don't really think I want to go down the fake booze road, you know?
You've talked about that. That could be dangerous. Same with like a rum and Coke or rye and Coke non-alcoholic. But putting that thought back in your head and really enjoying it, that could be tempting. Do they have non-alcoholic straight Irish whiskey, I wonder?
Yeah, actually, it's Darren and I were talking about this. Our buddy Darren, the Yee guy. I said, he and I were going back and forth. There's a non-alcoholic whiskey and there's a non-alcoholic rum, and then Tanqueray.
Not mixed.
Not mixed. Wow.
Okay.
And Tanqueray, I think that's how you pronounce it, makes a non-alcoholic gin, and I was sort of similar to what Bob was talking about there. I've rethought about it now. I'm like, okay, what is the point of that? I don't really miss it. And here's the thing. I'd like to try it just to go, is that close to what those things were supposed to taste like? But this stuff that I got at Brioux, this mixed whiskey and Coke thing was very strange. All right. Do you have a couple more to go? I have...
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple here, too. Let's get through it, because Bill Brioux is standing by. Here we go. This is Bacon Story from Kevin Bacon. That's his name. He says, hi, guys, because, of course, he's not an animal or a monster. Listening to Wednesday's show, Howard's Bacon Story, followed by Freddie's story. Dan Duran offered nothing on the matter because he doesn't do things. Back to Freddie and his mother-in-law, bacon story and the bacon cleanup being too much. Interesting thought. Interesting. Got to bake the bacon on a baking sheet with parchment paper is what he says. Then he goes through the cleanup. He says it's much better. Air frying, also a fine option. He doesn't give the vitals, but he does say sucking on it. Stay strong. And Kevin Bacon. Well, I don't think we need to comment. Kevin, well done. Thanks for entering the contest.
Hi, guys.
Subject matter, Maureen Holloway interview. This is from Hess. That's really the only name I see here, Howard. It says, Howard, call your interview with... There was no hi, guys.
Okay. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
You just said Howard.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. Caught your interview with Maureen Holloway. I'm a big fan of her and Wendy Mesley's podcast, The Women of Ill Repute. And I was surprised to hear that it was a break-even business. Their presentations are very professional, and you can tell that they are well-researched. Obviously, they are making a real effort, and I was sorry to hear they may not continue. Now, also, I'm concerned when you joked and referred.
Sorry about that.
I became concerned when you joked and referred that her husband John, when you referred to her husband John as John Derringer, knowing what she has gone through. Maureen was very diplomatic when asked if she would have lunch with the ex-broadcaster and answered in the affirmative. But you know, there's a lot of animosity, and she was obviously being very diplomatic in her response. But when you referenced to Derringer as her husband, it met with a lot of dead air, and I felt embarrassed for her. Frankly, after that comment, the interview went downhill, and I doubt she'd ever make another appearance. Whoa.
Wow. You know, I consider that feedback, and I considered it. You saw that email when it came in last week, and I thought, well, you know, just in case, because I like Maureen. I've known her for a long time. I've worked with her. I sent that email to Maureen, and I thought we would have Maureen's response. Maureen says, Howard, no offense taken at all. My friend, I enjoy your and Fred's curiosity and honesty. Not sure what this listener is concerned about. There was no dead air, and the interview hardly went downhill. But people gonna hear what they want to hear. I'll happily join you anytime. Carry on, Mo. And so there you have it.
Yeah. Yeah, at the time, it seemed fine.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I don't think she was bullshitting. I'm the type of person, like, I don't know her as well as you do. When I asked her if he called and said, do you want to have lunch? And she said, yeah, I probably would. I don't think she was put in a position there. She could have easily said, I don't think so, or I'd have to think about it. But she readily said, sure, I would. You know, she's a caring person.
Well, I also know her. I don't know her anywhere near as well as I know you, but I know her well enough to know this, that if she wasn't into it or was pissed off, she'd let me know. There's no, like, it's not like she didn't respond to that, like, because that's not how she really feels. Okay, we got to wrap this up very quickly. Here's my last one. This is from Jeff Lewis. Been a long time fan. He says, he doesn't say hi, guys, but of course it's inferred. Hi, guys. Thought I'd take a moment to contribute to the latest musical selections. This goes back a couple weeks. He's referencing something from a couple weeks ago where we were playing some funny little songs. And this is his contribution.
I got my balls to my butthole, yeah. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a dump, cause now my balls are blocking up my butthole. Fool me once, shame on
This is called I Glued My Balls to My Butthole Again.
Good God, I pulled too hard, now my scrotum's stretched out.
Anyway, thank you very much, Jeff Lewis. Always appreciate anybody that has a similar sense of humor and wants to contribute to the program. I think we should wrap it up because Bill's standing by.
Okay, that's good.
Because I think you have one more. I think I had one more, but...
Well, I have one more. I went last this time.
No, I know you did. That's why I'm saying, like, why don't we just...
Right.
What you know what we'll do? We'll do the last email after we do Bill Brioux.
All right. Sounds like a plan, Stan.
Thanks, pal. And what we'll do then is also announce who we will name the studio after next week. For next week. Stand by. Here comes Bill Brioux. TV's Bill Brioux. Let me see. Bill's standing by.
There he is.
There's Bill connecting to Zoom audio. That's always exciting.
Good morning, folks.
There he is.
Morning, Bill.
Bill Brioux, TV feeds his family. I'm not sure if you're aware, Bill, but you do a blog. It's called Brioux.tv, TV news and reviews.
Others have mentioned it, yes.
Well, I got to tell you, my friend, I perused it the other day. I don't know, for some reason I just said, oh, wait a second, Bill's blog is attached, and it's very, very, very good, my friend. I just wanted to give you a shout out. Yeah, it's
very
great.
Nice of you to say, Howard. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry for all the spelling mistakes.
Dude, I read through it all. It was really cool. And there's a picture of you. I'm trying to get to it. I guess you've taken it down. It's a picture of you. No, there it is. It's a story about Pat Sajak.
Yeah.
At Brioux.tv, and one of his blog entries this week is a story about Pat Sajak, and underneath is a picture of this handsome man next to Vanna White And at first, when I was sort of reading this thing, I didn't realize. I've scrolled down, and it says, "Yup, me and Vanna, 35 years ago." And Bill,
Wow.
those were the days, my friend. Look at that.
Those were the days, yeah. And I found that picture. It was a Polaroid from I honestly didn't remember from what, and then it was identified when I posted it. Dave Hamilton was the PR director at Global years ago, and he said that was an upfront in Toronto where they brought Vanna when Wheel of Fortune was pretty new, to Toronto, and it was sort of a meet and greet, and so there we were.
Wow. You've actually... did you actually, get to put your arm around her shoulder?
Oh, yeah, he did.
I got to turn some of her letters.
Yes, well, I'll tell you what.
Billy.
The picture of, you've got a glass of wine, and she seems very comfortable in your presence.
Wow.
Somebody said, it looks like Marco Rubio.
Well, I didn't. Listen, I don't know you that well. I've only known you for, 10 or 15, however many years we've been doing this thing. But, all of us, we're all in our 60s now. And any picture of myself or him, there's so many picture of us from our 30s. It's almost like, I don't know if I want to look at that. But, you're a very handsome young man.
Me and Vanna were exactly the same age. So, it was very, very tanned in that shot.
Yes.
As you could tell.
And she's looking great. Whatever, she's 60, what is she now? 67.
67. Yeah.
A great story behind her. Obviously, she didn't make Pat Sajak money, but made great money and was very good, apparently, at investing it. Have you ever seen her house?
No.
No. Bill didn't know her that well.
I mean, with all the publicity shots or the Hollywood news, if it's her house, it's like a huge, it's like Drake's thing.
Well, thanks for reminding me, because I wanted to ask Bill, because Bill's got a bunch of other stuff we're going to get to, but I wanted to ask you on the heels of your blog, what kind of money do you think Pat Sajak would have made for all those years of Wheel of Fortune?
Oh, well, annually, it would have been... That show is a giant hit, maybe $5 million annually.
That's all? I would think more.
Maybe more. I'm just taking I have no knowledge whatsoever.
Well, whatever it is, because it says here, Celebrity Net Worth estimates Sajak to be worth $75 million.
Oh, well, yeah.
Both these estimates use Sajak's most publicly announced salary of $15 million per season.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, that's why at 77 he's stepping down. He didn't step down at 65.
No.
There's a lot of years there. His accountant was very happy. He kept going.
And to your point, Fred, apparently Vanna earns $3 million a year. Whatever it is, think about this: is there a better gig in that world where I don't know, however many shows they do, they tape 5 a day for a few months, and that's it.
Oh, it's the best gig. And, that's my only gripe is why didn't they offer this job to Vanna White? I think that she should be the host now. That was such a debacle when Trebek sadly passed away, and they announced, the guy who was the producer wanted the job, and they went through this whole thing. And that same company produces Wheel of Fortune, Sony, that does Jeopardy. So you think they might have learned a thing or two. So what a great PR move would be to elevate Vanna as the host. But I think she wanted the job, but I'm sure that she was paid enough to continue doing her job that she got over the fact she's not host.
Well, that's and that's why Ryan Seacrest took it. He's smart too.
Yes, he is.
Because if he wants to shut down his other commitments, as he gets older, that's going to be a nice gig that pays well. 1 day a week, tape 5 shows or something, and still make a nice packet.
Let's get.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can finish up because I wanted to get.
No, I was just going to say, I think Sajak deserves some credit. It's a harder, we all think, anybody could do that, big deal. But he did have a little sense of mischief.
Yep.
He was just on the verge of being sarcastic half the time, and that kept you into the show.
I said that to Fred. I said there was a time, Pat. I used to love when Pat would come on Letterman. And you could tell Pat had a sense of humor. He tried that ill-fated Pat Sajak talk show. But he was very good at this job. Whatever that was.
One question I would ask you guys, Is the world or the United States, Canada as well, had enough of Ryan Seacrest? Do you think that's seriously? Do you think that's the best move? Do you think a lot of people that love that show, it's like him again, like him? Like,
I guess it's a
there's
known.
nobody else. Like
Television's all about. Do you know the person? Like anybody's greenlighting anything now.
Guess, yeah.
You can't sell a show unless you have somebody on it that's familiar. Familiar is broadcast TV, and he's proven he can do 5 days a week. You know, I mean, that's if he would have worn out his welcome, he would have done it by now. So,
well, there's a thing, Bill. I'm sure you're familiar with this. It's a Q rating. Your Q, which is what does the Q stand for? Do you know?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
It's a way of judging a celebrity's ability to wear well, basically.
Right.
So his Q rating would be off the charts because, just as you've said, he's proven to have been welcome into people's homes, multiple different ways, multiple days a week. But I think Fred makes a good point too. Like, and when you told me that, we were talking about this a couple days ago, Bill, that Ryan Seacrest got the gig, I almost said that. I'm like, is there nobody else but Ryan Seacrest left? But I think we've answered that question.
Yeah, but you look at the trouble they had at Jeopardy, and Ken Jennings always seemed like the obvious choice to me, but they kind of stumbled a bit trying to sort that one out. So I guess that the list of people who can actually do it, not that deep.
So this is a very, I think it's a complicated story, but it's an interesting one. Interesting, as we say in the show. Interesting. Mama. We overuse that. That's the running gag on our show, Bill, is that we overuse the phrase interesting because really we're not like you. We're not wordsmiths. We can't come up with something, we tried curious for a while, whatever. Fascinating. But there's a story out of Banff to do with Chorus, Rogers, and maybe you can set it up and give us the lowdown.
Yeah, well, the Banff World Media Fest is just wrapping up in Alberta, and Troy Reeb is the vice president of programming for Chorus. Troy used to be a news anchor. He was the Ottawa correspondent. He's a news guy. I always like interviewing Troy. He tells it like it is. And he's on a panel on Monday with some other TV executives. But news had just broke that Global or Chorus, which had a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery to have some big brands as part of their specialty teams. So they have the Food Network and HGTV. People are familiar with these channels. They've been at part of Chorus for many, many years. Well, it turns out that Warner's and Discovery, they're pulling their stuff out of Chorus by the end of this year, and they've made a deal with Rogers to be the new home for those brands, HGTV and others. So it appears Chorus was completely gobsmacked. They did not see this coming, and they were shocked that they did not have a shot to re-up, that they weren't even negotiated with. It was just done. Sorry, goodbye. We've gone somewhere else. And beyond that, even Bell apparently is going to lose some Discovery stuff because of another deal that's gone on. So the people at Banff are just, this doesn't really happen in Canada. Like the American broadcast executives were there, were like, holy cow, this is an American ploy here. This, you don't usually get this rough. This is like a elbow to the teeth. So Reeb literally let it rip, and he was saying, well, is anyone from Rogers here today? Oh no, I guess they're out in the schoolyard taking money from kids. Like he got, and you can see how the venting and the anger, but my God, the bigger story is the Chorus stock is down to pennies. It's at 36 cents. It was on Monday anyway. And that didn't really fall that much that day. It was already down to 50. So what is going on? And I think that's what really has got these Global and Chorus executives worried, because they don't have a cable company. They don't have a satellite deal like Bell and Rogers. And it really looks like they're getting the squeeze, that it's come down to you got to have everything, even though that wasn't supposed to ever happen. By the way, CRTC, once upon a time, you could not own TV stations and have the cable company. Well, it all happened anyway, and now it looks like good luck if you don't have the way to show the shows.
Well, Chorus had Shaw, right? But was Shaw bought by Rogers or something? Like, all that?
You're right, Fred. Shaw, the Shaws were part of, there was a deal where it was almost just that the CRTC didn't even see it as a takeover. They just saw it as an internal negotiation because the Shaws always had a piece of Chorus, or they were, and from what I understand, I think like Jim Shaw is on the board of Rogers.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
I'm not positive about that one, but that's like, well, wait a minute. So did you see this coming?
Well,
and that sort of suggests there's more to this story.
There was a time, Bill, when the CRTC didn't allow a broadcast company to own an AM. No, you could own it. You could only own an AM and an FM signal. You could only own. You could only have two. Well, that until 25 years ago. Now you can have multiples.
Right.
But when I saw that story yesterday, I saw the back and forth with Fred. Because I wasn't part of the Chorus stock purchasing. Because as an employee, Fred used to get stock. Explain it.
Well, if you bought 4, they would give you one. So just straight up, you were getting 25% on your money. So it was a great thing to be part of. And I do believe like 99, 2000, it was up over $40. And then it split. So it was great.
And when you left, did you get rid of it when you left? You must have. Did you have to sell it when you left?
No, I sold it when it was like $35 a few years ago. So I probably broke even because all the free stock I got made up for the loss, I would imagine.
Right.
But it was one of those situations where you're looking at it and you think, oh, it'll rebound. But now that it's a penny stock, the one thing I remember, Howard, who was our big boss there?
John Cassidy.
Right.
Going to his office as you walked into the main office, they always had a board there with the stock price because they were very proud of it. And I wonder if that's still there. He's not still there, obviously.
No. Yeah,
but when you walk in, it closed yesterday at 28 cents, actually.
Wow.
So if you walk in the main offices now, I'm not sure they have the big board there showing
No,
the
I'm
stock
sure
price.
not. Well, that is...
It's mind-blowing because they have one of the nicest office buildings in Toronto, like right down the lake there.
Yeah.
And they have, like, Reeb just the week previous was the upfronts. So there was the Chorus upfront, and he was able to say that, look, post-Super Bowl, if you just look at global ratings, we're beating Bell in prime time, which is quite a statement to make. So they're very successful on many levels. They got all these radio stations, and their specialty channels are very popular. Although specialty is down everywhere, the ratings. So
I'm sure.
So there's a lot to this story, a lot of moving parts.
Another thing I wanted to mention about your blog, Brioux.tv. Are you aware you have a blog?
Yeah, thank you.
It's funny. We've been doing, you've been a regular on our show for years. And like 3 days ago, I started reading your blog. I'm like a big fan. You also mentioned TV ratings in Canada.
Yeah.
And one of the ratings I was discussing with my television executive producer brother was the ratings for, was it not the first game of the Oilers Panthers, but the last game? It was like 1.7 million viewers.
Oh, well, yeah. So the first game of the Stanley Cup Finals right now is about 3.5.
Right, it must have been the last game of the last round. But my point of my brother said was that number would have been a lot higher years ago. So now that it's the Stanley Cup Finals, it's back in the 3 millions. But
there's a reason for that low number as well.
Yes,
Howard. The CBC decided not to carry the last 2 games of the series prior to the final because they had the Canadian Screen Awards on the Friday night, and then they had Canada's got a new way of racing around on Sunday night, and so they decided, well, we're going to step off the Rogers TV bus for these 2 shows, and that literally left 1 million people off the stranded because they went to turn on hockey, and there's the Canadian Screen Awards. Everybody went, and quickly turned their TV off and went outside.
And it's hard to believe there are a significant number of people in this country that still use over the air.
Yeah.
So
Right.
They
Well,
would have no option.
I'm glad you cleared that up, Bill, because I did say that to Steve. I said, I don't think CBC was carrying the show. He goes, oh, no, they were. And I'm like, well, not according to Brioux.tv.
And he knows everything.
Yeah. Let's go. Listen, we're quickly running out of time because, that's the way we do this. There's a few things you've talked about what you're watching. And you've mentioned this, Baby Reindeer. And I've seen it on the Netflix homepage for a long time now. Mm-hmm. So
Watch it.
Is it really that good?
I think, Howard, it's a very, oh my goodness, this is a brave performance by the main guy, Gad, who is playing the stand-up comedian who was stalked. There was a stalker. He was moonlighting as a bartender, and this woman comes into the bar, and it gets just crazy, and he loses it on stage one day and just sort of blurts about all this stuff and how he was abused by a former manager.
Wow.
But it's just a very, very brave performance and very electric. Now, based on a true story, and Netflix, they literally say this is a true story. Well, yeah, except the stalker did not go to jail for 4 years. The stalker did not get convicted twice. Mm-hmm. So they fudged a few key details. And the woman the real life, this person who was stalking, she talked to Piers Morgan, and Morgan, this all came out, and now, to get long story short, she's suing Netflix for like $50 million or something because they misrepresented what actually happened. Even though it's largely there, it's not quite there.
But you do recommend it because it's been a big hit. It's like been in the top 10 or 15 shows on Netflix now for some time.
Just for the performance, Gad is electric. It's really brave. It's you got to stick with it, but boy, oh boy, it's visceral.
All right.
You got to stick with it. Why?
Well, it builds to about the fifth episode when he has this moment on stage. He's a terrible stand-up comedian until he starts just telling the truth about stuff that's happening to him, and then he gets sold out, and people are really has a lot of fans. But his world starts to come down, and he just on stage lets it rip, and that's quite a scene.
Okay.
You also talk about the third season of Hacks. Like, this is all news to me. It sounds interesting, about a late night talk show host.
Well, no, it's about a woman who is a very famous stand-up comic who gets this woman involved with her who redoes her act. Right? I've seen the first season of it. It's pretty good. It
is. It's sort of like a Joan Rivers kind of character, Deborah Vance, and she. But it's kind of preposterous. They're sort of suggesting at 70 that the networks are thinking, we should get Deborah Vance to
That's right.
Jimmy
I know.
Kimmel. So that's a bit of a leap, But she's teamed with a young woman who's played by Hannah Einbinder, and she's sort of a writer, and it's sort of a generational thing. It skips it. Somebody in 30 and somebody 70. And Einbinder is just really a delight on this show.
Yeah, she's
worth
very
watching.
good. I saw the first season, which ran a couple years ago. I don't know that I've come back for the second season, but I was interested that you had mentioned it. And the other thing you talk about is the proliferation of shows like Conan O'Brien Must Go. It's not just that show, but there's so many shows like that. Why don't you explain?
Yeah, and now his show has been renewed for a second season. It's just him traveling. So he goes to Ireland and he goes to Finland where he looks like the Finns and he's making fun. So it's a very easy show. It's sort of shtick he's done on his TV show and on his podcast for years, but it's fun and inexpensive. This is the key, right? So you got him and you've got Eugene Levy's Reluctant Traveler on Apple TV Plus. You've got Somebody Feeds Phil Rosenthal.
That's on Netflix.
Yeah. So they're all interesting, but it's just somebody famous, and Phil will you'll see him with other celebrities too on that show. Now you got Alec Baldwin and his 7 Kids show. You got Sylvester Stallone and his daughters, and they just announced at one of the upfronts last week, Bell's Mark McKinney needs a hobby. So it's sort of like, oh my God, we got a half hour to fill, but we've only got $50. Mm-hmm. Wait, we can get Mark McKinney to do a show where he's just going into hobby shops, and it just seems to be enough to entertain people now, and that seems to be where TV's at. It's like, how do we do this and not lose our shirts with the budget?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen any of those shows, except I did watch a season or two of somebody feed Phil Rosenthal. And who he is, Fred, is he was the producer. He's a behind-the-scenes guy, very famous producer. He produced, I think, Everybody Loves Raymond, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
Bill. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, made
Yeah.
us millions and millions
of dollars.
Yeah.
But he's kind of an engaging guy, and they gave him a small budget, and he went around the world tasting food. But he's kind of he's an engaging dude.
Very friendly, very up, and
he knows how to do television. He's very good at that.
Yeah.
I saw some clips, and I think I saw one, and I forget where he was, Conan O'Brien. The only problem with that is the same impression I get of Smartless now. It just leaves me, there's a lot of holes in it. Like, okay, you're an entertainer, you're entertaining me, but I sort of want to know about where you're at. And he doesn't, you know what I mean? It's more about him than the place he's at, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and it's like,
just, yeah.
I didn't learn much from this, you know?
No, if you're planning a trip to Ireland, don't watch the show.
You know what, though, Fred? There is a travel show that recently, Top 25. There's a show that Fred and I do called Aging with Energy.
Right.
The old guys travel show. And recently, we received one of those, I don't know what they are. There's scam or sham things where it says, hey, congratulations, your podcast, Aging with Energy, has been chosen as a top 25 travel podcast. Really?
Well, you might want to look at it that way.
That's right. But
I think that's why these other shows they're basically podcasts with video, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, anyway, we're hanging our hat on the fact that we produce one of the top 25 travel podcasts, Bill.
Congratulations, that's cool.
You might want to mention that in your little blog. Did you know you have a blog?
I did for 17 years.
That's great. I just caught on to it 8 minutes ago. So dumb.
Do we have time to talk about this Canadian Comedy Hall of Fame fiasco?
That's a whole other show, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's pretty complicated.
Oh,
it is.
It got my interest, but
if you guys want to do it, because I know I've talked to some people that were there.
Yeah,
I won't mention who, but I got a little of the inside story of. But yeah, we had.
What's the Coles Notes?
Yeah,
version?
give us the quick version.
Tim Progosh has been on a crusade for 20 plus years to build a Canadian Comedy Hall of Fame. And he's had setback after setback. Even, they had a big thing to launch, and then the World Trade Center went down. And then the timing was just not on his side. Mm-hmm. So the latest effort was they'd moved it to Hamilton. They did a 3-year deal there. And they had events several months ago honoring Steve Smith and other people, Jim Carrey, Eugene Levy. And so they tried to sell tickets to get people out to meet Steve Smith and honor these comedians. And he feels strongly that, these guys deserve like a Hockey Hall of Fame of comedy. And it's just not an idea that it's just been a tough sell. And I think he's been kind of on social media lately saying, look, we owe a lot of people money now, including comics who performed at these benefits several months ago. Buy our memberships, because that's what we're trying to do anyway, and bail us out. And I just think that it's a tough sell, because there's a lot of businesses that struggle, and we all could maybe go on the internet and say bail us out, but there's something. I think Tim's heart is in the right place.
Yeah, I would agree.
The business plan is it's a tough one. All theaters are struggling all over Canada to get people in to see a movie.
Yeah, his plan was a bit ambitious.
Yeah, very ambitious, and it's just they charge too much for tickets to these salutes that they did in hopes of getting some momentum towards building a Hall of Fame. And I just wonder if that is the ultimate goal, that maybe they need a big sponsor in order to really pull this off, and they went ahead without one, and that's where the difficulty is.
Yeah, for sure.
And he was critical of Jim Carrey not coming to the event. I guess he thought that might sell tickets or subscriptions, and Carey didn't.
What universe is Jim Carrey coming to? I mean,
that was the thing. Yeah, it was
as a gesture, though. Don't you think Jim might say, I'm going to help these guys out in my homeland?
To be fair, I think Carey sent a video. Eugene Levy did. I interviewed Levy about something else, and Levy was quite honored and pleased. And Hamilton's his hometown, and my God, yes, thank you. So he got response from people, but to think that you're going to get, Martin Short and Jim Carrey on a plane and come on over to Copps Coliseum, you better have Canadian Tire providing the money to get them to and from the airport.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
And then that's what it was. It was just all of it was well-intentioned.
Yeah.
But way, and again, trying to sell tickets on the chance that Jim Carrey might be there, that Martin Short might be there, that...
And Canadians are funny, being so attached to the United States and our entertainment. It's like the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame compared to the...
Major League... you're right, Fred.
The Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? If you want to take your wallet out of your pocket, they want the best. So...
And that's the stinger, is that, about 6 years ago, they built the National Comedy Center in Youngstown, New York, Lucy's hometown. Yeah. And it has Dan Aykroyd's motorcycle, and it has Martin Short's this, and it has, John Candy's that. There already is a brick and mortar place Canadians can visit, and it's about 2 hours south. And that's one of the things that, and I think they struggle to get a crowd. It's just hard to get people to go to stuff. Yeah. So that's Tim's fighting a big uphill battle, I think.
Listen, man.
Last time I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, I got COVID. I ain't going back.
That was but it was a sort of thing. It was like a 2-for-1. Buy a ticket, get some COVID for free. Bill Brioux has a blog. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. It's Brioux.tv. There's news, there's podcasts, reviews, ratings, all kinds of stuff. And I've got it bookmarked now because I'm fascinated by this kind of thing, as you will be too. And Bill will be of course, back with us, as he does each and every month, illuminating the world of entertainment. Thank you, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me, Howard and Fred, and congratulations on making the top 25.
Hey, and good luck
with your travel show.
And good luck with your new blog. Fantastic work.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
You laugh, but we're going to milk that thing, believe me.
That's right.
Do it. Good. Good for you.
Someday that's going to come in real handy, Bill. Real handy. Awesome. All right, pal. Take care. Freddie, before we get to Sherpa J, if I may take a second here and talk about the fabulous world of Boron 1 and boron1.com. If you're curious about what boron is and what it isn't, well, it's in everything. Some common applications of boron include glass production, insulation, fertilizers, silicon, metallurgy, LCD screens, stealth technology, sports equipment. Should I go on? Well, I could, but I won't. The point is, it could be something to look into as an investment. Obviously, they support us, so we want you to at least support them by checking out their website and finding out what boron is about and how it might fit into your portfolio. As always, we make no claims about stock prices because, we barely have any college. So, but do check it out. It is an interesting story. Interesting. Go to boron1.com, Friedrich.
Whether you're a sports bettor, a horse racing fan, a poker or casino player, Bodog, your number one source of online gambling entertainment. From their industry-leading odds, world-class sportsbook to their fully loaded casino and racebook, they've been providing Canadian players with an unparalleled gaming experience since 1994. It's Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Is it tonight? Yeah. Or is it tomorrow night? Oh, my God. Look at me, the sportscaster.
When was the last...
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it used to be great sportscaster. When was the last game?
There's 2 nights. So Monday, so Tuesday... Oh, no, it's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I really apologize, everyone.
Oh, you should. How dare you?
How many people would have sat down to watch the game tonight because of me?
Yeah, so many.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Game 3, the Oilers favored because they'll be at home, minus 138 on that, plus 117 for the Panthers. So Game 3 tomorrow night in Edmonton. Must win for the Oilers. That's all you can say.
Yeah. I'll definitely tune in at some point just to show solidarity for my family, to the Albertans.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, bud?
Solidarity.
Will you would take in any of it?
Oh, I believe so, Howard. I believe so. Tomorrow night, definitely, probably, because I don't think the Jays play on Thursday. And again, I'm tied to my little woman.
I know.
And I might be up north on my own, so I'll be free to... Not that I'm not free when she's here. I just like watching the game with her, that's all. And what I do is I watch the Jays game with my sweet, and on my phone, I have the hockey game on.
Oh, isn't that cool? What other?
Yeah.
What else do you do? Do you want to walk me through it, or just?
Then I get a cup of tea.
Do you have a cup of tea and a little dark chocolate?
Yeah, some dark chocolate. Yeah.
What
Then
if?
about quarter to 10, I say I'm going to bed.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, what if my new Korean friend? What if she becomes a Blue Jay fan? Will I have to also watch the Blue Jay game soon?
Yeah, I would love that. The four of us could go to down to the. We could go to the games.
We'll double
We could
date
go
to the
for
Jays.
dinner.
I love
Go
that.
for dinner. I'll take you to that Thai restaurant I was talking about.
Well, maybe she'll take us to a Korean restaurant.
Oh, maybe, yes.
In the meantime, let's stop talking about the chicks and start talking about Sherpa J. It's golf clinic week at Glen Karen. Very exciting, Sherpa J. Welcome back to the program.
Hey guys, it's good to be here. Thanks again for having us on, and looking forward to Friday.
Well, yeah, we should explain. Jay at one point was a professional golf, part of the CPGA, was a PGA professional, not a tournament player, but a fine golfer in his own right. And did you do a lot of teaching?
I didn't know. I let my good friends. I was blessed to work at Glen Abbey, and I let my good friends Sean Casey and Sean Foley, who went on to bigger and better things than the club pro teaching. I let them do the key teaching to all the young kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
So just so you know, for context, Fred, one of the Seans he just mentioned was once Tiger Woods' golf coach. So that's why Jay left him alone.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I was lucky enough to hang around with some guys that knew what they were talking about, and I'm always been smart enough to listen to those who can help. So yeah, coached the members and had some fun with a few of them, but any of the junior ranks, I said go see the professionals. Right?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to be spend a lot of time around Sean Casey, who's one of the finest teachers in the country, and I've also gotten to know Foley over the years. And anyway, Friday we're doing a little clinic for some of the Humble and Fred listeners and Sherpa people. So we'll tell you about that next week. In the meantime, what are we talking about today, fellas?
Investing for your kids.
Yes.
RESPs.
Hey, I thought, guys, with the June coming to an end, all I hear about around my house is the last 2 weeks of school. And for my son who's in high school, he's got his first pressure-packed year or semester. So a lot of studying going on. And again, I just thought, you know what, we all got to do better of planning for our kids. And it's always all about them anyways. So why not have a topic on it?
No, that's because, the costs of post-secondary are staggering. So it's never too soon to start preparing, obviously. And what are the options available to people?
Well, I mean, with the RESP guys, I mean, I kind of break, our kids into two categories, right? Like, call it those in their kind of mid-teens and younger, and those in your, mid-teens and moving into being old enough to hold a TFSA once you turn 18 and consider a first home savings account. But with respect to this week and the RESP, it's really about funding it. A lot of people get caught off guard. All you need is a social insurance number for your child in order to open up an RESP for them. A lot of people have that within the first year or so of the child being born. So, like everything in investing, the sooner we get it going, the better compound interest can be on our side, and also really lessen the annual burden, because that's what I think a lot of people misunderstand about the RESP contributions.
And the government contributes as well, right? Through an RESP.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the key point here, guys. The government's going to give you 20%. So there's two strategies investing for an RESP. Start when they're young, 2-3 years old, and if you can afford $2,500 a month, $2,500 annually into an RESP, the government's going to give you 20% of that in free money. So they're going to give you $500 a year.
Jay,
if you do that for 14 years, you will max out the grant contribution that the government will give you, because they will contribute up to $7,200 to your child's education.
Yeah.
And, I don't know any investment that can guarantee you a 20% return. An RESP, as soon as you put that $2,500 in, bang, they're giving you 20% the next month. That's pretty good starting point.
Return.
Yeah.
And then you allow compounding of the investment to work for you as well.
For two things, we did that for both of our kids. But if you can afford $2,500 a month for an RESP, I don't think education is going to be.
I may have misspoke.
Yeah, I don't think that. No, $2,500
annually.
Here's the thing. I love my kids, but I'm not putting $2,500 a month away for them.
No, absolutely not. Nor should you, because the government only does do maximum contributions, right? So there we go. But I did led me into the other option. So let's say you fell behind.
Just pause for 1 second there, Jay.
Thanks.
I was going to say, just pause for a second. I'm going to say, having done it for both of the children, nothing we did in terms of investing was better for their education than this program. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I would ask, if you drop out, can you use it for golf school?
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. Now,
if you have a golf school that has an educational
accredited,
component to it,
yes,
absolutely.
you can. Absolutely.
All right. Just asking.
But Jay, now continue. What was the second part of this?
Well, again, it's really just about, finding the right zone for people. Because, we get clients all the time saying, we have this, we'd like to leave a legacy. So, grandparents, again, the parents and child need to open up an account. But it's a great way for grandparents to fund, too. They have typically a little bit more disposable income. And let's say they have $5,000 a year. The maximum government grant that they will provide is 20% up to $1,000. So if you provide $2,500 in a year, they'll give you $500. If you did $5,000 for a child, which you could do for a 7-year period and max out that grant, a grandparent might be better able to do that $5,000 annually. And again, the next month that you contribute that $5,000, the government's going to give you $1,000. So again, the 20% return does have a maximum. You couldn't put in $10,000 in a year and expect to get $2,000 from the government. They wouldn't do that for you.
Well, it's a great program. And another example of something that we talk a lot about with Sherpa Jay and, of course, the retirement Sherpa, the OG Sherpa. We talk a lot about the idea of having these conversations because, a lot of people have heard of RESPs, but maybe they don't know the nuts and bolts of it and how it can work, not only for you, but for a grandparent like Fred. One day maybe I'll be blessed with the grandchild. And it's what I would tell you, and I want to just reiterate the fact that it was my ex-wife, who I'm still very good friends with, who got us into it early. And, both of my kids got to go to secondary education, have a secondary education, without taking an OSAP loan. And that's really what you're trying to do. You're investing in your children's future so they don't have to go into debt to get a better education.
100%. Again, if you started early, it's like anything. If, the $2,500 annually, doesn't feel so bad. And when you start thinking about the compounding returns, because you think of your child being 2 or 3 years old, and you're like, oh, they're not going to university or college forever. Well, that forever comes up pretty quick, and I'm living proof of that because I got one that's only 2 years away, right? And it just felt like yesterday when we were changing diapers.
Well, we can relate to that. Fred's kids are now older than he is, for God's sake. It's weird.
Now Howard's changing diapers on himself now, apparently.
That's right.
Awesome.
I'm once again in diapers.
Shower diapers.
Leave Jay out of this, please.
Okay.
Come on. This is Jay. Jay's not part of those kind of conversations.
All right.
What are you, new? How dare you?
Yeah.
Jay, I'll explain that tomorrow when we talk. Okay. So once again, we're excited for the first annual, maybe first ever, golf clinic with Jay and I on Friday at Glencairn. It's going to be fun. We're going to do a little demo, hit some balls, and then go take the groups over and do a little teaching, this and that, have some lunch. If you want to be part of those kind of things, get a hold of the Retirement Sherpa and Sherpa Jay. Jay, I don't have it in front of me, so just tell everybody, what is your actual email?
j.bondy at raymondjames.ca.
That's
guys,
the one.
Thank you so much again for your time this morning and allowing us to spread the good word.
Well, dude, I
You're a
can't
good
wait
lad.
to hang out with you on Friday. It's going to be a fun day. And we'll have you back real soon. There he is, j.bondy at raymondjames.ca. Thanks, my friend.
See you,
You
Jay.
guys. See you, Fred.
Okay, pal. See you later.
Yeah. I invited you. I said, you can come if you want. You know who's coming on Friday?
Who?
Our good friend Earl Veal.
Is he really?
Yeah, he is.
That's sweet.
Going to hang out with one of our old radio friends who I guess is a client. I didn't know that, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. It's going to sound strange, but if I didn't do this, if I hadn't done this stuff for a living, this radio and the comedy and all that other nonsense that I've done since I was 17 years old,
Yeah.
a part of me, because I like it so much, a part of me wishes that there had been an opportunity in my life to turn pro, not as a tournament player, but as a golf professional and teach it. Because of all the things I'm not patient with, I have this weird patience around people and helping them learn the game. Because I think part of it is
Yes,
because
you
I
do.
Well, thank you. But part of it is because I love it so much. I love golf so much that I just want other people to like it too. And in my enthusiasm to have them like it, I think I help them out a little bit. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. Yeah, and you're very good with people on a golf course. Very patient, very gracious with your time. You are. Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that.
And I think I've figured that out. I think it's because I like it so much, and I see people struggle with it, and I just want to say, there's these little tricks that I know that I've learned since I was 11 years old. There's these little things that I discovered along the way, and on top of all that, I've been so lucky. I've had lessons from Sean Foley, who worked with Tiger, from some other big names in golf, and it's like knowing a magic trick. So I'm looking forward to Friday. Jay's a very, very good player. But sometimes I think about that. I think, maybe I should do that when we finally retire. I'll get PGA certified so I can charge people for lessons.
Or, at the very least, be a marshal. What's your name, sir? Yeah. Okay, you're off at 11:10. You got about 7 minutes now, so we'd really appreciate it if you could be ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the thing I want to do for a living.
And then you could drive out on the course. Hey, guys, speed her up, would you? Come on now, you're holding things up.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what that has to do with teaching people to golf, because I don't think that's the job for me. Greeter.
Or you could be a cart girl. You could drive around the cart and sell people booze.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't bring up any of that diaper stuff with the clients. Come on now, you know better than that. you know better than that.
Okay.
That's just for you, me, and Dan. Look, there's Dan now.
Okay.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Howard.
Dan Duran. Dan, we went and hit balls together in Mexico.
We did.
I was just telling Fred that maybe one of the things I might have explored in my life, along with the other nonsense, is teaching people to play golf, because I like it so much.
You would do great with that career.
Thank you.
Because people just, when you go to a driving range, people gather. It's weird. I've seen it a few times where you're there and you start talking to like me and saying some things about how my swing could be improved, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of people around and you're starting to asking questions, and then you say, hey, you just try this a little bit.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, as I said to Fred,
I just follow you.
I'm enthusiastic about it because I think anyone can learn it.
Hey, it's never too late. You could always start one up. A whole
Yeah, I know.
school.
Start the Howard Glassman Golf School.
Yeah. Humble golf.
Yeah.
Quite the game. It's quite the game.
All right. So again, when are you going to the lake? Because this is our last day for a couple days. Are you going to go up this weekend?
Are you talking to me?
Yes. So well, Dan's already there.
Oh, that's right. Look there he is. Looks quite nice where Dan is right now.
Well, he's not wearing his parka today.
No, I'm almost taking my long sleeve off. The temperature's climbed 5 degrees in the last 2 hours.
Yeah, you're going to delayer. So the Fred man, is the Fred man level-headed Fred? Are you going to the?
Yeah, I may maybe later today or tomorrow morning. I noticed the way Dan has the camera angled, though it's showing part of my lot. It's an invasion of my privacy, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I was trying to get the Danis Duranis.
What part of your... Yeah, what is the Danis... You keep saying it. No one... I don't think anyone realizes what you're talking about. What is the Danis Duranis bust again?
Well, it's an award that was given to me when I did my with girlfriend Lisa. We did a show at the Peterborough Theatre Guild.
Oh, yeah?
Darren gave a bust as, instead of flowers or whatever, he gave me a bust, calling it the Danis Duranis, and congratulated me.
Oh, very nice.
And when Dan has done the show on the inside of his new unit, it's been on the counter. We referenced it a couple of times.
No, I didn't know what it was, though. Dan's doing the show from the inside of his unit? No. Probably.
It's like a subway.
That's right. It's like a submarine.
But if you remember last year, I was doing the introduction. I was talking about the canoe.
Right. Yes, we talked about the canoe this morning.
The canoe is gone.
Yes.
It's disappeared, so there's no canoe.
It's not even at the foot of the tree, is it, Dan?
No, somebody moved it away or stole it.
Or took it, yeah.
One of the two.
Well, we had an email today from somebody asking about the canoe. Speaking of emails, Freddie, I forgot. I just remember now. Let's do the last email, and then let's announce this week's Zoom Theater naming person.
Okay.
All right, here comes our last one.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Okay, this is from Chris. Subject matter, why? It's just why. That's the subject matter.
Goes, why, guys?
Yeah. He goes, hi, guys. Chris here. Hundy P and 1P since the old CFNY days. All right. That's the way he phrases it. Reason I'm a Hundy P and a 1P is because sometimes my podcast player will repeat an episode instead of going to the next one. So I've heard a couple of your shows twice. Does that count? I'm asking why on behalf of all the other Hundy Ps to those burning questions that we've all wondered but don't know the answers to. And here's a question for me. He says, this is for Fred. Why doesn't Delise listen to the show? You guys are geniuses. Hear what he said?
Yeah, geniuses. I love that.
You guys are geniuses, like Elliot Friedman said. No, I think that was Jeff Merrick, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Merrick who said we were geniuses. But if Elliot Friedman ever heard the show, he would also agree.
Well, first he's got to know who we are. And he says, Chris says, I always felt bad for Fred. That's like being with Delise not listening to the show. He said it's like being Mozart, but your wife doesn't like music.
It's like being who again? Say that name again.
Mozart. Yes.
So wait. So to be fair, he's saying you're Mozart and Delise doesn't like your music.
Yes. Curious. This is from Chris. By the way, I grew up on Chopin Avenue in Scarborough.
Did you?
And it was connected to Mozart. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to their music?
I don't know why in 50 Scarborough they would choose that for 1950 Scarborough. They chose those names for the streets, but they did. Yeah.
So did you ever listen to Chopin or
no.
or Mozart?
Like actually consciously choose it, pursue it? No. You
think about that music that was written like hundreds of years ago, how it's still, because it's classical music and how it's studied and played and reproduced. I just wonder if, years from now, people are going to have the same reaction to music like this.
I got my balls to my butthole, yeah. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't.
Yeah, like 200 or 300 years from now, will people be wondering who did the song "I Glued My Balls to My Butthole" again? I don't know, Dan. I just don't know.
The question is why? Yeah. Why would you do that?
What, glue your balls to your butthole?
Yeah,
I have no idea. But I tell you what, the reason I play it again is because that came to us from a regular contributor, someone that's been supporting our show a long, long time. And so we thought we would recognize Jeff Lewis as this week's Zoom Theater name person. So when Dan finishes the show today, Jeff, you're going to hear your name coming out of the dulcet tones of voiceover specialist Dan Duran. Is there a greater honor known to man? I don't know. Dan, have you got the guy's name?
Jeff Lewis.
Attaboy. Okay.
Thank you for attaboying me on
well,
that
because I'm deleting his email, so in case I forget it in the next 18 seconds. Now that I'm incontinent, who knows what's going to happen?
Well, I've got a couple for the news. I got a couple of poop stories for you. So.
There's always room. There's always room for a poo story.
You've caught my attention.
Yeah. All right. That's right.
Fred
You've picked our interest. That's right. All right, Dan.
Now, here's to a fella named Dan Duran, a hell of a guy with a hella big wang, the quintessential anchor man. His voice is nice and low. Dan Duran, the anchorman comes. As for credentials, he has none. Can't tell a headline from his bum, but his voice is nice and low. Dan Duran, the anchorman's here. He's prone to falling off his chair, but he's got a big wang, so he don't care, and his voice is nice and low.
My voice is nice and low.
And now, here we go. And now, live from Lakeside, apparently with a partial view of Fred's campsite, or whatever you call it down there. How dare you?
It's my lot.
Here's movie anchorman Dan Duran.
Toilet timers. Is it the way of the future for public restrooms? The story comes to us from China's Yanggang Buddhist. Yes, the Yanggang Buddhist grottos, which I had no idea about before this morning. And it seems like an interesting place to go to because there are 51,000 statues carved into 252 caves and niches some 1,500 years ago. And it has about 3 million visitors a year. Never even heard of it, but it is a very popular spot, as you can tell. Anyway, what they have done is they've put timers on the stalls. So when the stall is unoccupied, there's an LED screen that displays the word empty in green. In use, it shows the number of minutes and seconds the door has been locked. So you can tell how long the guy or the gal has been sitting there, maybe scrolling away, doing the Wordle or something while they're, getting their business done, and maybe spending too long. I don't know what if you see somebody up there for 15 minutes, well...
Yeah, you don't want to be on there for a long time. It's not good for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, they say it's not like a timer to kick you out or anything. It's more like, quote-unquote, for a safety thing. But I think what they're finding is that it cycles people a little faster through the washrooms, which I guess when you've got 3 million visitors, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My wife is absolutely appalled with the thought of someone taking their phone in the bathroom. She is. She just thinks that's horrid for whatever reason. Because, you're touching your phone and you might touch something else and then touch your phone and touch something else.
What is she? Wait till she finds out.
I'm serious.
Yeah, wait till she finds out I took my phone in the shower.
That's right. And now, and your incident's on OnlyFans right now.
That's right. I've made some money off it.
Scat fans.
Scat fans. Only Scat fans. Dan, do you have a second poo story, or are we done?
I have a second, but hang
on a second. Then let me get you. Let me get you some music. And now with a thoughtful essay. Here's more poo talk from Dan Duran.
As Howard just mentioned, in other poo news, millions of septic tanks across the American South, this is a Washington Post story, they just published this, are being affected by rising seas. The global warming thing that isn't really happening down there. Well, apparently there's a ton of septic systems that sit above, they have to be in dry soil. But as the seas are rising... And get this, I didn't even realize it had done it. Miami-Dade County, the seas have risen 6 inches since 2010.
What?
They've risen 6 inches since 2010.
That's significant.
It is. And they have, they have 120,000 septic systems that are in risk of being compromised due to the height of the water. And a septic system won't work if it's submerged. Your toilet won't flush, for example.
Toilet
can easily become a health emergency. Also, leaking nutrients can get absorbed into limestone, leading to algae blooms, and fish populations die off, that kind of thing. But it's something that is happening all throughout the South and has to be dealt with. But it's a really difficult problem because all these septic systems, it costs about $30,000 to replace it or raise it or whatever they have to do to it.
Wow. That's, I'll tell you, that's just flat out interesting, that story.
Hold on a second.
I can't think of anything stupid or childish to say about it other than that's a major
give it time.
concern.
Give it time.
And just another byproduct of what we're dealing with,
That's
right?
right.
Like there are so many, just another thing on the list based on this global warming thing, this climate
change,
however you want to refer to it.
All right. Well, listen. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you gave it some time, you'd probably think of something infantile.
You said hard on. You said
Howard. Howard's poop floating down the shower drain.
Exactly. Thank you.
Coming up above sea level.
Dan, the fact that you're participating in all this shit talk is really impressive today. I don't know. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud. Now let's welcome the producer of this program, Toronto Mike, and let's take a quick survey based on Fred's wife's disgust. Mike, phone in the bathroom with you. Yes or no?
100%.
100%. Dan, phone in the bathroom with you. Yes or no?
100%.
Howard Glassman, survey says yes. Fred Patterson, phone in the bathroom. Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you do.
Yes.
Of course.
I don't go to the bathroom without the phone.
No one goes anywhere without their phone.
I'll put it off. I'll say, "Where's my phone?" Before I go to
seriously,
I do the sit down.
That is a great point. I can't go to the bathroom unless I have my phone with me. What if I miss something?
Yeah, it's good. It's wasted time otherwise, right? You're sitting there, things don't come out as fast as they always do. So
Dan is leaning into this whole excrement thing today. Toronto Mike is here. Toronto Mike, by the way, Fred, are we done with everything? You got everything done?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, Howard, yes.
Good. All right.
Howie, I've put Bill Brio's blog in the show notes for years.
I know you do. It's so dumb. Mike, I know you do. And whenever you sent the notes the other day, I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, there's a whole world of Bill Brioux I hadn't discovered. No, it's great.
And also, correction, fact check here. You said we biked to Mount Pleasant Cemetery.
Where did we go?
Park Lawn Cemetery.
Thank you, sir.
And in addition to Harold Ballard, Conn Smythe is there, and Jeff Healy.
That's right. What is it you said? You said Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
It's funny when you said that. Just through my mind, I thought that's a pretty long way to go.
No,
you're not ready for that.
Yeah,
okay, it's an adventure.
Yeah, it was an adventure. So no, it was Mount Pleasant. I know it was way the hell and gone over there on the East End.
I biked there many times.
Yeah,
but
you could do it.
You're not ready yet.
I'm not ready. Although that was a pretty long ride for me too. That was like 45, 50 minutes.
Longer, I think, actually.
And it was great. I had a really fun time. And the thing is, Boone's just... He's too fast, man. He just goes too fast. It took
years. I keep telling you, you don't start.
He goes fast.
You got to build up. It takes time.
He goes fast.
I can't golf like you, but give me 20 years, I might be there.
It's a lot to take in when Boone's ripping down the street.
20 years is ambitious. I've been doing it.
I know.
Close to 40. And
there's a moment on the ride. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, a moment on the ride when I was talking to Howard. I always bike alone. I never bike with anyone else, but I've got a guy with me. So I'm talking to Howard.
Constantly.
We're on Queensway, but I'm talking him up okay, we're just talking him up. We're biking together. And he goes, Is this what your bike rides are always like? You're always talking to yourself? I'm like,
he never stops talking.
I'm not alone.
Yeah, he's. I think I like a little chit chat, but a lot of times I'm slightly out of breath, and I said to Boone, I said, "Hey Boone, are you never going to stop talking?"
What's the point of biking together if we don't chat?
I know. Listen, you're very kind to take me on tours, and I appreciate it. And it was a great day. The last time it was warm, I think it was last week.
Yeah, it's going to be nice today, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Howard's coming along with the cycling, and he's in like everything else Howard is into. He gets into it a lot, so I suspect soon he'll be in like Tour de France training.
Well, I'll be wearing. If I have now what's going on with me, I'll have to find a bike that can fit my diapers. So.
That's pretty shitty.
Do they have biking diapers?
Biking diapers, exactly.
Maybe it's something you should come up with now that older people are.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll bet those Tour de France guys just piss their pants.
Absolutely, they do.
Oh, sure they do.
Absolutely. You can't go 182 kilometers a day and not to pick a piece.
Oh, no.
Not to make a pee-pee.
Just go. Yeah.
We're on next week, just 2 days, because next Wednesday is another golfing adventure, another event that I'm playing in. Not to be confused.
A notable event?
Yeah, pretty big event. Not to be confused with the other events next week, but that's the one I have to take a day off for. So, what are we doing Monday and Tuesday?
Well, Monday's guest list Monday. People look forward to that. And Tuesday is the monthly visit of Jeff Lumby.
Yes. That'll be good.
And I wanted to say to you guys, all three of you, and all the listeners who are tuned in right now, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Oh, right.
And to you, too. Toronto Mike has he has 6 or 8 kids. I've lost track. He's got a lot of kids. 4? Just 4 now?
Just 4, yeah. Just 4.
God, I can't imagine keeping track of 4. My goodness.
Just 4. Remember, I shut down the factory, so there's no more kids for me.
Well, I would. Yeah, 4's enough. My goodness. That's
multi-million-dollar family there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is a multi-million-dollar family.
$2 million.
Well, he does. Family. Yeah, he's got 2 girls, 2 boys. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. I think I'm going to see. I think the girls are taking me out tomorrow night. We're going to have dinner because both of them. Charlie's going to be away all weekend, and Spencer is going to be away on Sunday. But what are you doing, Daniel? Is your son still at the trailer?
Yeah, he's at the lake here, and he's busy working away on his art. He's got an art project he's commissioned. He's doing
lovely.
Right now.
Is he going to be there on Sunday? Is my point to celebrate Father's Day with you?
But yeah, he's going to be around. I don't know if he really is up to speed on Father's Day because he's he's distracted artist. So who knows? But it'll probably come through and he'll do something nice for me. I'm sure.
Do you want me to call him and say, hey, Colton, it's Father's Day. Do you want me to bring him up to speed on Father's Day?
Yeah, as a godfather for...
Yeah, he's not feral. He's in the world. Freddie, what are you doing?
Well, that's a good question because I know I might be up north, but the kids won't be, so I'm in a bit of a dilemma. Should I hang around to be here for Father's Day, or should I sort of just give them a break and say, don't worry about it, I'll give you a call? I'm not big on those things per se. I don't like them spending money on me, number one.
Well,
so I don't know. I'll figure it out. And, Melanie has her husband, Josh. I mean, she's got to worry about that Father's Day.
Yes, exactly.
And Danny and I can do a rain check. It's not that big a deal to me.
That's funny you say that about spending money. Yeah. My kids will not be... That's what they said. They're like, hey, we can have dinner with you, Daddy. And I'm like, okay. So that means we're going to have dinner together. Papa's going to pay, which is fine. Fine. And Boone, with your brood, will everyone be over at the Boone compound?
I'll see everybody on Sunday, all 4 of them, and I let them drive this bus, Freddie. So I don't I have no idea what's happening. I let them whatever. I don't care if it's
it's nice
part, whatever. Yeah. I let them drive the bus. It's a Saturday is my wedding anniversary. So
which one?
11.
No, which marriage?
I met you. Which wife? Oh.
Yeah. So what are you saying? Right. Saturday was 11 years ago that I embarrassed myself with at your wedding? That's great.
100%.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we don't have to dwell on that anymore.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that part up. I was just...
But happy anniversary, and to everyone else, have a great Humble and Fred long weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Happy Father's Day to those that celebrate, the non-denominational fucking holidays.
We don't believe in.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't believe in it.
Those of you that still believe in fathers.
Yeah. This episode of Humble and Fred was brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, 4-on-1, Boat Dog, and Lender's Choice Mortgages. For contents and comments, we read all of the emails, Humble and Fred at humbleandfredradio.com. As you know, Humble and Fred at humbleandfredradio.com. Tell us what you think. Subscribe to the podcast. Share an episode. Rate the podcast. All would be helpful to us and help your algorithms bring you to us. For Humble and Fred from the Jeff Lewis Zoom Theater, I'm Dan Duran. And remember, enough of the shit talk. Always bike alone and be more like level-headed Fred. You'll enjoy every goddamn day.
Your hands or just clap your hands. Where's that?